All right, hello. I wanted to give you an update on everything kind of downtown Madison life, where that's at, where we are in the process. This is eventually I'm gonna have to start numbering or something these updates for you guys, but we're still in kind of the early days here as everything is coming together. And in fact, what I realized is I don't think I ever told you the story of how the idea for Downtown Madison Life ever came about. So I actually wanted to dive into that here in this update. And really, what it is I've been living in Madison since 2006. I came to the University of Wisconsin as a freshman in college. Back then, right out of high school, came here, and I really haven't left since. Spent a couple summers in Oklahoma. Spent a little bit of time in Milton, Wisconsin, which is about an hour or so from Madison, not quite. But for the most part, I've always considered Madison home. Even when I was living in Milton, I was driving back and forth to Madison all the time. So, been here since 2006. Moved downtown a little over 3 years ago now at this point. So I've been actually downtown for a little while here. But I've always, like I said, loved the downtown Madison scene. And I can remember as a freshman in college in 2006, driving up university or driving back to university from traveling, heading down East Washington, the main street there, and just kind of coming and seeing the Capitol. At one point it just gets highlighted, and usually my trips were usually coming back at night, so the Capitol's lit up, looks amazing. I always loved that view, and myself and the friend I was riding with at the time, I can remember us just talking about what it would be like to actually wake up and have that Capitol as your view from your apartment, because we would drive around the square in order to get to campus eventually. And that was kind of always the goal, was to have that amazing view. My girlfriend Julia, when we first met, she actually happened to live downtown at a place called Madison Mark. Had a great view there. So I always loved going over to her place and just being able to see that from the couch. And just having a phenomenal view of the Capitol. That's always something I enjoyed, and I always enjoyed life downtown. Well, I've definitely moved a lot closer than I've ever been now. Living here, I live in 306 West, so I live very close, and I can see the Capitol, the very top of the Capitol. I can see the lady outside the office window here. But it's still not quite exactly. The apartment's amazing. Really love the finishing. Definitely has been the best apartment we've toured so far. We've lived here, like I said, we're going on our third year now. So love this spot. But as walking around, I noticed there was a new apartment building going up. It's actually in view of this. Like, I can look out the window in the office here and see the apartment building being built right now. And it's very close to the square. There's part of buildings, or there's apartments in it that do have a view of the Capitol. They have a view of the lake, and they get the sunset, which for me is like the ideal thing that I want in a building. Tons of windows, which this place doesn't have any windows. So, or it has windows, but not nearly enough for my taste. All that being said, I wanted to live at this brand new place. It's called the Pressman. So I wanted to live there, checked it out online to see how much it actually would be. And the rent for the ones I wanted were a little out of budget. So I started brainstorming ideas. How can I possibly make this work? How could I potentially get them to pay for me to live there? Big fan of the bartering method. So that's actually what really got the ball moving on this whole Downtown Madison Life thing. I've always thought it'd be cool to do something that's very story-based. I've talked to a couple of restaurants about possibly doing podcasts on their restaurants, and I've always thought that would be really neat, where we could sit down, we could talk about the stories of the people behind these different businesses and why they did what they did. Like for a restaurant, just imagine sitting down with the owners and chefs and having bottles of wine passed around and talk about the creation process, talk about why they did what they did, what this all came about. So I've always loved this idea and have had an idea of doing a show like this for years. But it wasn't until actually trying to figure out how I could actually pay for an apartment building. Yes, I'm looking to use this strategy to actually pay for my living, to live for free essentially. Obviously, it would not be because it'd be a ton of work. But that's how the whole idea for the story for the show really was born, is a show that features life downtown, a show that features the stories of people, businesses, and the events that make this city what it is. That's what really got me interested. That's what's been getting me excited. That's what's been getting everyone I'm talking to about this excited, is just that plain simple fact, to really dive into the stories and give kind of a taste of the lifestyle that living downtown, really any downtown, but especially a kind of more unique city like Madison can actually be. So that's just a very brief little example of how this all got started. And I am in the process right now of finalizing kind of the proposal. That's when I wanted to start reaching out, getting survey questions from people in the community who might be potential listeners, and I wanted to continue to tweak together this proposal. So I want to quick show you kind of the next steps of things I need to do here in the process of creating the show. There's a lot of them. There's a few immediate ones, because this is a business for me. This is something that I'm looking to do in order to, again, pay for apartment. Now, the nice thing is I'm actually crafting a proposal for ULI, Urban Land Interest, which is the company that owns the apartment building that I want to live in. So I'm crafting a proposal for them and have a draft email already ready. And the proposal's pretty much done. I'm going to create a video yet for them. That hasn't been done yet. But I'm going to give them kind of first shot, send it over to them. I have a couple strategies, and I'll talk to you all about, I'll be very honest in what I'm doing here, about the outreach to them, what I'm doing in order to hopefully make that happen, with the realization that, hey, they could likely say, nah, that's not for us, or not want to pay what I'm thinking this will be worth. If that happens, luckily for me, Madison has kind of been booming with new apartment buildings recently. So there are several other property management companies, including the one I currently use, that I can potentially reach out to. There's a few other businesses, but there's also at the level that I've kind of realized that I really want to do this show. I love the idea behind it. I love the direction it's going. So I want to see this show happen. So I'm going to be moving forward with it no matter what. And trying to scrape together sponsors. So I do think this will be valuable to sponsors, especially sponsors in the Madison area specifically. So I'll be getting some sponsors, and then maybe even potentially doing a Patreon or something like that. Or at the very worst, I can always advertise, at the very least I should say, I can always advertise your podcast guru's service at the end of the show. So that way it will drive potential traffic to my main business and the main getting people as podcasting clients. So let's actually take a look at what the proposal kind of looks like here. So this is just the draft of the proposal I went through and created. And the goal is to link urban land interest to the hottest events and spots in Madison and be seen as a center for downtown Madison life. That's really what we're out to do. And I'm going to do that through a weekly show, which will include a live stream and then repurposed into audio podcast, video podcast, and YouTube video later. So it kind of lives on. And I'll go on through a little bit more of the proposal in just a second. But basically what I'm thinking with this show, just to kind of help you understand the logistics of it, is to do a live stream, but it will also have several different components that are pre-recorded. So there will be videos that I can just drop into the live stream. I will be there at the very least. I'm ideally going to be up in the brand new apartment with an amazing view of the Capitol and the city, and they have that kind of as the backdrop. I can run the show from there. I can drop in specific segments if they're pre-recorded. I can drop in sponsor segments. I can drop in anything else like that. Or we can bring the people up to the studio and do the live stream right there with them, asking them questions. Or that's the nice thing about some of the tech that I have been working with a lot here recently, which I've been, and I can do a full video on it once we kind of get things settled down on understanding of what the equipment I'm going to need actually is. But right now I'm using Switcher Studio, which is a mobile live stream platform that allows you to like switch different cameras. So I have multiple camera angles. Actually, I don't only have the one set up right now, but I can switch to the screen, for example. So what you were seeing before is me switching to the computer screen. I can switch back to mine. I can add in graphics like so. I can do just straight graphics as well. And it's nice to kind of be able to add a lot of these elements in. I can do full videos. Oops. We won't do that one because I might have actually, I think I deleted that. But I can do full video drop-ins as well. So that is a super nice thing. Because again, it's going to allow me to be very flexible, to still have the benefits of live, because I can be in there talking with people, answering questions. But it's also going to allow us to do the multi-camera shots, which will make the things more interesting, the stream more interesting, the video more interesting, especially when we start diving into going to, say, like a restaurant, or going to the Orpheum, or going to the Overture Center and doing some of the behind the scenes things. I can be doing some of that live and not have to do it pre-recorded, because I have essentially a mobile live stream setup. Multiple with Switcher Pro, you're basically connecting iPhones, so I can have multiple iPhones, multiple tripods. I can have high quality audio, and I can run everything from my iPad Pro. Sorry if you heard a little weird audio. So that's basically right now in this studio. What's set up is I have Heil PR40s, I have a single iPhone, and then I have the iPad Pro that is switching everything. I have my computer, which is right now displaying the proposal, and then I have the second, this is AirPlay over an Apple TV to make it a second desktop, and I just have a graphic up behind me, and that can easily be changed at any point. I can run slides, things like that. Okay, so let's jump back into the proposal and what that actually looks like. So along with the actual video, which is kind of going to be like I described to you, I can do a show notes. So this can go directly onto the ULI website because they have a little news section. So we can do show notes post, which will help, which is basically a short summary that's going to help drive traffic to the website. But what I really recommend for a business like this, and because the podcast isn't necessarily tied to the business, is I want to do an independent website. So this would just be a Downtown Madison Life website where it's just one for the podcast, because that's going to be a little easy, make things easier to sell for sponsors, going to make help the Downtown Madison Life be more of an authority website. Everything is going to be connected to ULI and to the stuff they're doing, and we're going to be bringing in a lot of their stuff, but having that separate site is going to actually allow that to be the authority, and then the authority will kind of point back to the business, which is a great strategy that you should be thinking about with any of your shows and any of your brands. Most of the time, that's not the right move. Most of the time, you want it directly within the brand's website, but for this specific application for this specific company, I think this is the move we should be making. Okay, so independent site, we also do social media posting. We kind of have a regular schedule, and I quickly laid that out. And that's in order to basically keep bringing things up on a regular basis. We also have insight quotes, so these are graphics that we bring out, quote graphics that again is going to kind of designed to drive traffic on a consistent basis. And then the weekly email, so I want to get people signed up for weekly emails. I'm already Haven't quite started doing this yet, but I'll mention here in kind of the next steps exactly what I'm going to be doing with that. But yeah, basically it's going to be a weekly email out to all their subscribers. And here is potential episode content. So this is a brief example. I actually thought of several more this weekend when Julia and I were walking around. So basically the featured segment is going to be about 20 to 30 minutes. And it's going to be interview or co-hosted kind of topic. So it could be an interview with an act at Cafe Coda. It could be interview with a chef at a restaurant. It could be the top 5 summer live music events, interview with Dream Bake staff. You're kind of seeing an idea. Making amazing cocktails at home from heritage taverns, bartenders. Behind the scenes of Overture Center. Urban hikes was one I thought of this weekend. So urban hike trails, that could be an awesome one. But it's going to be all about content that is related to Madison in some way, and how people can actually enjoy Madison more. And then this is the part that I think is going to be really interesting to a company like ULI. So, featured segment, going to be building authority, helping connect people who already have that, who already want to live downtown, who like that lifestyle of downtown living, who are very similar in that regards. And then it would feature showcasing a building, apartment, or an apartment with a video walkthrough. So this would essentially be going through and actually probably pre-recording this. Most likely this piece would definitely be pre-recorded. So ULI has several different buildings. They have 3 main pieces of focus: residential living, so actually renting apartments; office spaces. They have office buildings to rent, where you either like actual sign a lease for an office, or you can go in and do like day rentals and conference room rentals, things like that. And then they have parking spaces that they rent as well. So with this segment, we would feature either an office building or one of the office features like the day rentals or something like that, or we would feature an apartment building or even a very specific apartment. So say they have the penthouse open in one of their buildings, we could do a full walkthrough just letting people know that, hey, this is what this apartment looks like. It is available right now, and basically that's what we're trying to do, is drive more potential tenants to them, more people who are willing to rent from them. So, and that would be their essential big, that would be how they make their money, is by getting more rental agreements. And so it could be featuring any of these buildings. They're all their buildings. A tour of a specific apartment, showcase an office building, highlight day office, rentals and conference rooms, showcase virtual office services. And then kind of the last component would be sponsored ad segments. So this would be a 60 to 9 minute video spot. Could potentially be live streamed, but most likely this would be pre-recorded, and it'd be a sponsorship spot that just gets sent in. And then again, these are going to be local businesses, so they're going to be very attracted to having a community of people who already identify they live in Madison, already identify with the downtown lifestyle. And that's because the businesses we'll be going after are going to be businesses that serve those exact people. And so we can do kind of a storied feature, storied like ad segment where basically we talk about, like if we're doing recursive, maybe we go to the gym and see what a workout looks like, see people sweating, hear about the community, hear about some of the things they do, and then they make a specific offer. And so this would be another way that ULI would be able to make back some return on their investment, because this is something that I would also try to work in an agreement where I get a percentage of what we would bring in terms of ad revenue, because I would be doing all of the legwork and trying to get the sponsors. So there you have it. That is kind of that is essentially what the proposal looks like. I have the email kind of crafted here. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I have that up. I don't think I do. If I do, we just went. Okay. I didn't have this part ready to go, as you can probably tell. All right, I'm gonna click, and I'll just give you an idea of what the email looks like. Let's get this back. There we go. Whew. Okay, we're rolling now. So here is an example of what the email looks like, and basically it's just kind of laying out a little bit of a little hook, a little bit of who I am, some talking points that basically say that the strategy to help grow their business would be to create a multiple camera live Facebook live show highlighting downtown Madison way of life, featuring cornerstone business attractions, incorporating and showcasing your building's available spaces and services. This is the thing I think they'll really dig. I need to, so the PDF was what I showed you already. I need to still finish creating the video and kind of lay out what it could mean for ULI. And so that is essentially the approach I'm going to be using. So I need to finish putting this together. I want to get, the goal is definitely by the end of the month. It is, right now, it is April 18th. The goal is definitely end of the month, but hopefully actually sooner than that. I'm hoping to finish the video this weekend, by the end of the weekend. Don't have a lot planned for the weekend, so I'm going to go dive into that. Been capturing footage on the move as we were kind of walking around. We had an amazing weekend here last weekend, super nice weather, so did a lot of outdoor activities, captured tons of video that I can potentially use for some of that. And so next steps. What are the next steps for me? It is to finish the proposal, the video and the proposal, sending that off, and then to finish putting together the sponsorship proposal. Like I said, working to try and talk to a bunch of local businesses. So I have a list of a bunch of them that I want to talk to. And so I'm going to put together a proposal and reach out to the very first one here relatively soon. I also I need to set up a topic idea capture system for this podcast, something I talk about with all of my students and something I've created for my own podcast. Basically, it's an Evernote system that I use to help capture ideas and then flesh them out in terms of scripted episodes. So I want to finish doing that. I also want to create a coming soon page with an email list so I can start growing the Downtown Madison Life. I'm going to just plug it into and make it a very specific tag for ConvertKit because I'm using a ConvertKit account right now for my business for YPG. I'm going to just make Downtown Madison Life a tag and a segment of that until it gets to a reasonable size, and then hopefully be able to start another brand new, just to keep that separate a little bit eventually down the road. But right now I'm just going to incorporate it so we don't have to incur extra costs, basically. And then I actually, if you're seeing this now, I have finally took action, but I need to actually go through and create the behind the scenes content and just how to just promote the behind the scenes. I haven't mentioned this anywhere yet, but that's going to be coming very soon because I do think this is something people are going to want to see. So I'm going to go through and mention the behind the scenes element and let people start signing up and start sending in these documents so they can follow along in the journey as we get ready to launch this brand new show. So there you have it. That is kind of the progress I've made so far. Waiting on a couple pieces of equipment that I'm really excited. I'm getting after walking around Madison this weekend. I realized that those are going to be great shots, but I cannot do that just holding my iPhone and trying to walk very slowly. I got okay shots doing, basically making it as solid and steady as possible. But I ordered a gimbal, which should be here on Thursday, so just a couple days. Super excited that I'll let you know how testing that out goes. But yeah, that is update, I guess we'll say number 2. I'm going to start numbering these from now on, so I'm not sure how this one's going to go together, but from now on, every single one will be numbered. So there you go. That is the progress we're having in terms of Downtown Madison Life.